D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick 102.5 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope everybody is having a wonderful Friday. Derek Mason is live in Las Vegas. I can hear the music now. Derek Mason live from a rave? Question mark?
Yeah. As soon as I put up this stream, you'll see what I'm doing.
Is it PG?
Yeah. Oh, it's all.
This is a family show and stream.
Hey, listen, it's daytime, so it's PG.
Okay, but there are things during the daytime in Vegas that are not PG.
Correct.
You got a point there, Willie, but I do not condone those things.
Okay.
So how's Vegas treating you, Derek?
You know what? Vegas is treating me well, or us well. McCall and I are here. Treating us well. We came in, got in this morning, ran into Joe, Ricky, and, of course, Chase. And, you know, it's been wonderful, man. A lot of music, a lot of pools and televisions around here. And it's wonderful, man. And I got on a sweatshirt and some sweatpants. That should tell you something.
I feel like I need a glow stick or something, just hearing the music that's on in the background there.
Hey, man, it's moving. It's music that it gets your tush moving.
Well, I guess we'll get your tushes moving today on the program. Derek,
Yes.
of course, is live in Las Vegas, as you can hear or see if you're watching the stream.
I don't know if we've ever had like continuous background music. I felt good about music today because I put the DJ tunes in the jukebox today for when we come back from breaks.
Okay. I know it's going to be cutting edge then.
It's cutting edge. We're going 80s techno pop today.
Oh, okay.
So there will be some synthesizer pounding away at you on a Friday afternoon. You're going home.
Kinda like
You're getting
this.
excited for Friday night. Yeah, this is a little more mellow. This is a little more modern. I'm going old school, 80s techno. Original synth.
Okay. I can't wait.
Is there a foam party going on over there? Are you familiar
I'm
with
picturing
with the foam
people
party?
jumping from the roof.
Tell me the foam party. What's going on with the foam party?
People jumping from the roof.
It's exactly what you think it is. It's
People,
a
guys
bunch of
walking-
people in a
guys
pool
walking around in Speedos.
with lots of foam.
With lots of
That's
Okay.
basically it.
So like bubbles floating from the sky?
Yeah.
bubbles
ceiling?
and the technotronics. And
I have never attended a foam party. I think I am past the age where it's appropriate to attend a foam party, which means it's definitely past the age for the two of you to attend a
Absolutely.
foam party. But we'll see what Derek Mason gets into between now and 6 o'clock Central. Derek has also told us he has a wild story to share with us, but I want him to wait until Ask D-Mace at 5 o'clock to tell us what that wild story is. Of course, at 5 o'clock with Ask D-Mace, if you have questions for Derek, you can call us and text us at 615-737-1025. But we are going to start on the Nashville Predators. No 0-5-0 start for the Predators this season. They win their season opener against the Columbus Blue Jackets last night at Bridgestone Arena, 2-1. Ryan O'Reilly with the game-winning power play goal early in the third period. Michael Bunting opened the scoring for the Predators in the first half of the first period. But, Willie, I want to start with UC Saros. UC Saros, I said on the show yesterday after you departed, in my opinion, UC Saros under the most pressure of any Predators player heading into this season after having his career worst season last year, his new 8-year contract starting last night in terms of the season. And I thought he was excellent. 37 saves on 38 shots. I'll get a little nerdy here. 2.2 goals saved above expected, which means he stole the game for the Predators. And I want to get your thoughts on Saros' play last night. But I also want to see if you and I saw the same thing. The Columbus Blue Jackets had plenty of high danger scoring chances over the first couple of periods. But I did not see any of the glaring defensive breakdowns from the Predators that I saw last season. They limited the number of odd man rushes. And although UC Saros certainly did have to put in some work, I thought the Predators did a better job of defending and making the saves that he had to make more predictable. Did you see the same thing that I saw?
Yes, I did. And it is something that they have stressed. If you've been listening to our coverage leading up to the season, this has been one of several themes, and maybe the biggest one from a tactical standpoint. They wanted to defend differently and better than they did last year. So they are sacrificing some offense, I think, some puck possession, I think, in the name of not giving up the high-end gifts. Last year, it was Christmas from October all the way through April when they played. Way too many breakaways, 2-on-1s, backdoor layups, things that shouldn't happen. Backdoor layups should be talked about in basketball, not very often in hockey. It does happen occasionally, but it happened way too much last year. They want to create, use the word, Adam, predictability. It was better last night. Now, that being said, Columbus is a high-powered offensive team. They on a lot of nights this year, if they're anything like they were last year, with that young talent, they've got 12 first-round picks in their lineup. And they've been, last I checked, they picked pretty high in the draft a lot of those years. They're going to score a lot but give up a lot. So for Nashville to hold them to 1 was a lot. But as you said, only 2 odd man rushes the entire game. They were among the worst in the league at allowing odd man rushes last year. They cut that number way down. So the dangerous chances, by and large, were chances that Saros was able to see, and he was able to decipher, if you will. He knew where they were coming from. And when you allow him to connect the dots and play to his strengths, that's when he becomes an elite goalie. So it worked last night. It's 1 game out of 82. You've got a lot. You've got to do it again tomorrow night. But I think they got a glimpse, and they were not the better team 5-on-5, but you got a glimpse of how you can win hockey games if you have a really good goalie when you get outshot and you give up more chances than the opposition. It's the type of chances that mean a lot.
We saw yesterday what it should look like, or what it should have looked like last year to a certain extent. UC played fabulous. And I asked you guys, I texted you guys, the probability of that shot going in had to be low, but it snuck in on UC Saros. And after that, I mean, he was on lockdown. He managed to be everywhere he needed to be at all times, and those guys helped him in front of him. But I think this is what we wanted to see last year. Obviously, more scoring, yeah, but those guys in the front helping UC Saros. UC Saros doing his job. Yes, they were able to get a goal, but, I mean, to me, that's a goal that the greatest of goalies would probably give up. So I don't look at it as, something wrong with UC Saros. But I think they did a lot to help him. I think he did a lot for himself last night. And I think what sort of symbolized it all to me was in the first period, Roman Josi hustling when it was a 2-on-1 break, and he hustles and he breaks the break up. That, to me, is who they want to be for the whole season. He ended up coming back, I think, in the third period and having another hustle play at his end of the goal. So stuff like that, if they can continue getting that, because they were not getting that last year on a consistent basis. If they can get that on a consistent basis, I could see this team being much better than they were last year.
Sean on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says that game was extremely sloppy by the Preds, who were extremely lucky to leave with the W. Columbus looked like the better team. Now, through the first 2 periods, the Blue Jackets carried the play. They had the better of the scoring chances. They were getting to the high danger areas more often. But the Predators, to their credit, turned the tide in the third period. The Predators were the much better team in the third period. They carried the play in the third period. They were taking advantage of Columbus turnovers and turning them into scoring chances. They protected the home plate /slot area quite well. So I'm not sure, Sean, that I would go as far as you did and say that the Predators were extremely lucky to win the game, but they made the necessary adjustments in the third period. And Willie, you had Mike Kelly of Sport Logic on the broadcast last night, and he pointed out a tactical change that the Predators made in the third period that helped them control it. What did Mike say?
Well, what he pointed out was that the number one line for Columbus, and I'll bet you, even if you are if you consider yourself a pretty hardcore hockey fan, you probably didn't realize how efficient that number one line for Columbus was last year. Sean Monahan and two young Russians, Voronkov and Marchenko. Those two guys are both 25, those young Russians. Those three really did a lot of damage last year, and they started off on Brady Martin, Philip Forsberg, and Ryan O'Reilly's line. That was the matchup. And remember, the home team basically dictates the matchups, and they had a lot of trouble containing that top line for Columbus. But in the third period, it actually started happening in the second period some. Andrew Brunette started using Michael McCarron's line to match up with that line, and they had a lot more success. And at times, it was even Eric Holla's line that went in there and went head-to-head with them. But in the third period, they were able to shut down the main source of offense for Columbus, and that, I thought, was the key to getting a lead and getting the victory. So am I here to say that they dominated the game last night? Not at all. But these are the types of games they just simply did not win very many of last year. They won a couple, but for this team with this layout of talent where they are right now, they've got to win a lot of games like this. And when you have UC Saros and you play good structure in front of him, you can win games when you don't have the territorial edge.
Jeff on our text line says, I was actually surprised they overturned the goal for goaltender interference. At the end of the second period, former Predators forward Matthew Olivier scored a goal that could have been a huge momentum shifter. The Predators challenged for goaltender interference. I have stopped pretending to understand what the league is looking for when it comes to goaltender interference. But the Predators were correct. The goal was overturned. They went into the second intermission, tied at 1 instead of down 2-1. What did you think, Willie, of that play? What did Chris Mason on the broadcast think of that goaltender interference call?
If you really, by this time, right, I don't know what year this is, Adam, of goaltender interference video challenge, maybe 10, 12 years now, maybe 10, right? Are we in double digits? Is this the 10-year anniversary?
Question. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I think it was in the first 5 years, something that was evolving. I think what happened last night now, if you're a video coach, you're pretty confident back in that back room. I would say on about 7 out of 10 challenges, maybe 6 out of 10. And last night, I think, fell into the pretty clear cut because this is what we've been trained to look for as announcers. They trained you on this. The referees we have broadcast meetings, and they will bring in referees and tell the announcers what to look for. And if the goalie is in the blue ice, UC Saros, in the blue ice, in his crease, you cannot make contact with him in the blue ice. And that's what Matthew Olivier did. Now, there are a couple of exceptions, one of which is if the player is pushed in. It's like roughing the punter or roughing the kicker in football. If you're blocked into the punter, that's different than if you run into the punter on your own. But Olivier, he was engaged with Justin Barron. You could have even maybe made a loose argument early that Barron guided him into that blue ice. But once Olivier was parked in there, he had time to clear himself out. He even pushed Barron to create space, and that jutted him back into the crease and made contact. And it doesn't have to be intentional. If it's incidental, as long as it's in that blue ice, that goal is going to get waved off. So I thought it was pretty clear-cut. It was interesting, though, the announcers for the Blue Jackets disagreed, and obviously Dean Evison and Matthew Olivier with their reaction disagreed. But I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what they're watching. If that went against the Predators, I guarantee you Chris Mason and I would say, okay, I see it. Incidental contact in the blue ice is goalie interference. Now, had that happened outside of the blue ice, totally different story.
Sean, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah,
No,
D-Base
my
was
question-
D-Base was very intrigued with this last.
Yeah, my question was because, listen, I don't know the rules in regards to goaltender interference, and you educated me on it just like you did just a few minutes ago, educated our listeners on it. But I didn't understand because there was a point on that video where UC Saros seems to have the player's jersey from the back. Now, if that does happen, it seemed like it did. Does that still qualify as goaltender interference if the goaltender is making contact with you? Because it seemed like UC had his jersey, sort of like, kind of like a, how they hand check in basketball, just on your back.
Oh, yeah.
And not necessarily just to kind of get a gauge of where you're in. And I think that's what he was doing to try to get a gauge on, okay, I just need to know where to kind of move when the puck comes. But it did seem as if he had a hand on them and they were in the blue circle.
Yes. And that is something that is a nuance that I think forever, just like with pass interference in football, there's going to be little things on every play that no two are the same. So you're asking if the goalie initiates the contact, then what's the call? And the rule of thumb basically is the goalie is going to get the benefit of the doubt if he's in his crease. That is his space to play his position. He has to be able to play his position. So they teach the players, don't go in there. If you go in there and there's contact, it doesn't have to be much contact. And there wasn't that much contact last night. It's going to be interference. Outside of the crease, as long as you stay outside that crease, then if the goalie makes any initiation of contact, he's not going to get that call. The question is that gray area, right on the line, on the borderline. Let's say the goalie's skates are in the blue, but maybe he reaches out across the line and does what you're saying, Derek. UC Saros did, which kind of hand check him in the back. That has happened some. But in this case, Saros was clearly in the crease. The contact happened in that crease / blue ice. No goal. And that was a big play because that was probably the period that Columbus outplayed the Predators the most. The Predators had a 5-on-3 in that period, and they couldn't quite cash in. That was really the only offense they generated. The whole rest of the period, the Blue Jackets were really bringing it to the Predators. So if they had capped that off with that goal, the third period might have been a different story. But good challenge by the Predators.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will take your reaction to the Predators' season opening win 2-1 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Predators are back in action tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena against the newly christened Utah Mammoth, formerly the Utah Hockey Club, formerly the Arizona Coyotes. Predators and
formerly the Winnipeg,
yes.
the original Winnipeg Jets.
Well, you could say formerly the Phoenix Coyotes after the Arizona Coyotes or before the Arizona Coyotes, then the Winnipeg Jets. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Derek, of course, is in Las Vegas because the Titans are in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders on Sunday. Can the Titans do the unthinkable and win consecutive games for the first time in nearly 3 years? We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. If you are looking for a good spot to watch the Titans game or other NFL games on Sunday, then you should come to Twin Peaks in Cool Springs, home of the 29-degree beer. Enjoying 1025 The Game for the pregame show before the Titans take on the Raiders. I will be co-hosting that with our friend Chris Sanders. The pregame show is brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Old National Bank.
we got to learn how to have success. We don't know how to have success. We started off too slow, all phases of the ball from top to bottom. I mean, that first half wasn't Titan football, and I don't know what it was. Like from top to bottom, from everybody who had a part of this game, we didn't come in. I felt like we was hungover. We were hungover from success, and we didn't come out ready to play and go down 28-0. It's going to be hard to win in the National Football League, so we have to be better.
What do you feel like guys have to learn about success? What could be different?
We can't have hangovers. At the end of the day, we got to learn how to have success. And I mean, we're in a situation where we have to stack wins, and we can't be hungover. We can't be hungover on success. Yes, we beat the Texans. Hooray! It's all about trying to build. We're trying to build off that, and we didn't do that today. And and trying to dig ourselves out the hole, that didn't help us today at all. From like I said, that's from top to bottom, not just the players. Like I said, that started with everybody in this building. From top to bottom.
That was Jeffrey Simmons last season after the Titans followed up their win against the Texans with an egg at the Commanders. And Jeffrey Simmons.
You mean that wasn't in Vegas? He wasn't talking about the movie The Hangover?
No, he was not talking about the movie The Hangover. But he said the Titans were hungover from success the previous week. I'm hearing Jamiroquai, which makes me think that perhaps they're playing Napoleon Dynamite on the big screen at the Circa Hotel.
I know, it's interfering with my techno pop. I had New Order coming in, and now it's quickly switched to Jamiroquai.
Yes.
The pool party is just taking over.
Yes. But as the Titans prepare to face the Raiders in Las Vegas, where Derek Mason is right now, I was reminded of that soundbite from Jeffrey Simmons from a year ago. The Titans go to Houston. They win a game. The following week, they go to Washington, and that game is over basically as soon as it started. And that was Jeffrey Simmons after the game talking about the Titans being hungover from success. So let's hope the Titans are not hungover from success again after defeating the Cardinals last week as they take on the Raiders on Sunday. A couple of notes. J.C. Latham is expected to play on Sunday. He will be listed as questionable on the injury report, but he is expected to play. So a big return for the Tennessee Titans. J.C. Latham appears good to go for the Titans on Sunday in Las Vegas. On the other side, Brock Bowers, the young, outstanding tight end for the Raiders, is expected to be out again. He missed last week against the Colts with a knee injury. He is expected to miss this game as well, according to Raiders head coach Pete Carroll. So, Derek, how can the Titans do the unthinkable and pull off a winning streak for the first time in nearly 3 years? The last time the Titans won consecutive games, you have to go all the way back to November 13th through 17th, 2022. When they won at home against Denver, they went to Green Bay and won on Thursday Night Football before losing the final 7 games of the season. So how, Derek Mason, do the Titans avoid being hungover by success and pull off another win Sunday where you are right now in Las Vegas?
You want to keep it simple? Score and don't let them score. That's how you do it. No.
I need a little bit more than that, Derek Mason.
No, I think they got to find some way to play like they did in the fourth quarter for 4 quarters in this game. For whatever reason, this team came out extremely flat. It was almost like the hangover from the Houston game, and they didn't decide to wake up and start playing until the fourth quarter. I mean, it took a fluke play in a sense to sort of spark that. So they got to find a way to tap into that very, very early. And I think what Bo has to do, what he did last game, is use multiple sets. Keep them thinking. Keep the Las Vegas Raiders thinking on defense. Because if you keep them thinking on defense and you give a little tempo like I think they can, then that's better for your quarterback, I believe. So they play like they did in the first and in the fourth quarter in the last game, and they play in this game to start off the game. That's how you keep yourself from repeating what happened to you last year. it baffled me that he said that last year. Because I'm like, man, it's not like y'all have been winning like 10, 20 straight or something. Y'all won 2 games or 1 game, 2 games. And all of a sudden, well, 1 game, and all of a sudden now it's a hangover. I hope that type of mentality is still not in the locker room where you win 1 game out of your first 5, and then all of a sudden the next game after that is a hangover. I don't think that's going to happen. But in order for it not to happen, I think they got to find a way to, start off fast, get that thing going like they did in the fourth quarter, move Cam around, use multiple sets. And on defense, they got to have to stop the run. That's first and foremost. And if they can do that, I think they put themselves in a better position to win 2 in a row than not.
Teammates, Bowers did not play last week, and they got smoked. They scored only 6 against the Raiders. I'm sorry, against the Colts. They got blown away. I think 40-6 was the final score.
Yes.
What does not having Bowers in there do for the Titans defense as they try to match up? Like, is this a chance for the defense to put the offense in a good spot?
Of course. I mean, he's their number one weapon. He's a guy that poses the matchup problem with defenses. Again, he's too big and physical for a cornerback, and he's majority of the times too fast for a safety or a linebacker. And he knows how to run routes. So not having your number one threat now, that takes away your quarterback first option. And then you make him prove that these other guys can play. But a lot of what they do runs through what he can do at the tight end position. He's just to me, he's an extension of what, they do on the outside as far as the wide receivers. He has that ability not only to line up with his hands in the dirt or in the slot, but he has the ability to line up outside too. And when you got a guy that is multiple like that and you don't have him no more, it changes your offense.
J.C. Latham is back in, and that is one of the number one things that I think I'm looking for is to see, hopefully, if he's healthy, because I feel like my theory anyway is in that game against the Broncos where he eventually left, I don't think he was ever right to start with. He wasn't playing well before they took him out. But if he can be a stabilizing force, how big could that be for the offensive line, especially when you're blocking an elite rusher? I don't know that I would say the Raiders have an elite front four, but they've got an elite rusher in Crosby that they're going to have to handle. Having Latham has got to help.
Well, it does, because now they're going to have to pick and choose which side they put him on. If Latham's not there, I would tend to believe that Max Crosby would line up to the Titans' right, his left, a lot more to go against the inexperience at the right tackle. But if you have a healthy J.C. Latham, maybe they look to do something a little different. Maybe they look to go to Moore's side. Moore played pretty good last week, but for the most part, he hasn't been worth, the money that they brought him in. Now, it's a long season. He can get better starting from last week. But, having J.C. Latham back there, it helps solidify their offensive line. Because if you look at it, Zeitler's playing well. Skoronski's playing well. Cushenberry is coming back into form. I don't think he's where he was prior to the knee injury. I don't think he's still there. And Moore, hopefully, I'm looking at the remainder games he has left. I'm not sure how many elite pass rushers he has left. So if that's the case, then we may see more of what we saw last week of Moore. We may see more of that than we did the first 3 or 4 weeks.
By the way, the Titans will also have a new kicker on Sunday against the Raiders. Joey Sly ruled out with a calf injury. So Matthew Wright will be kicking for the Titans in Las Vegas. Wright was 4 of 4 in 2 games for the Titans in 2024 in his career. He's appeared in 29 games, 55 of 63, 87.3%, including 7 of 11 from beyond 50 yards.
Okay. So it sounds like he's got at least some of the right stuff.
Ha! I see what you did there, Willie. I see what you did there. Richie from White House on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, says they didn't have a hangover. Good old Jarvis Brownlee said, since other guys won't say it, I'll say it. It was too cold. Well, you know what? One, Jarvis Brownlee isn't on the team anymore. And two, I don't think it's cold in Las Vegas. Derek, is it cold in Las Vegas?
Oh no, it's not
It
cold.
gets
It's
a
not
little
hot
chilly
either.
at night. It gets a
It's
little
not cold.
chilly
It's
at
not
night.
hot either. So
But I don't think you're going to have the same weather conditions in Las Vegas as you did late last season in the Washington, D.C. area. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Your thoughts on the Titans' upcoming matchup on Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders. 615-737-1025. Our show is presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com.
Derek Mason here, and if you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Look, insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event, or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025, The Game. Derek Mason, Willie Donick, Adam Vingan here with you. Derek is live out at Circa in Las Vegas as the Titans prepare to take on the Raiders this Sunday afternoon. The Las Vegas Raiders opened the season with a win against the Patriots, have since dropped 4 consecutive games. They are turnover prone. The Raiders -6 in turnover differential, the second worst in the NFL, ahead of only the winless New York Jets. Geno Smith with a league-high 9 interceptions.
9 times.
9
He's been
times
intercepted.
in 5 games, Geno Smith has been picked off, so we'll see if the Titans can take advantage of that. Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. One texter says, Cam's thinking too much. He needs to take what the defense gives him by running when the opportunities are there to move the sticks. He's focused too much on trying to be a pocket passer instead of exploiting defenses that don't respect his mobility. He may have Warren Moon's jersey, but he's not Warren Moon. He can run, so he needs to take those free yards. That will add an element of surprise that could enable this, could help kickstart our anemic offense. I think you're missing a word there, texter. But that was one unnamed texter on Cam Ward.
You know, I still want to see if he can run. I'm not convinced that Cam Ward can run. I would like to see it more. His escape ability so far, and he has played, of course, a grand total of 5 games, has not impressed me. D-Mace, I think, is more optimistic than I am, but I think that's if he's got that tool, I kind of agree with the texter. He needs to use that tool a little bit more, not recklessly. Will Levis, I think we know he was not good at it. Ryan Tannehill was a great example of a guy that ran effectively. Ward has not run effectively at all as of yet.
You know, and I'm not sure if they are, you know, trying to sear that in him to either stay in the pocket or to run. But it does seem like he would rather make a play with inside the pocket or behind the line of scrimmage, let's say that, than to take off and run. I believe he can run. I just think that he chooses not to run. He comes from a place where he's going to try to give his wide receivers every second he can get to allow them to get open. And because this receiving core hasn't played consistently this season, he's had to do that. He's had to wait, and he's had to find, you know, avenues outside the pocket. When the offensive line starts to block better, I think you'll start to see him do a little bit more. But more importantly, I think he wants to be able to operate within the pocket. But he has to understand in this game, like the object is to get 10 yards each and every opportunity you can get. So if it's not there in passing, then you run the football. Again, there was a prime time for him to run the football last game. The middle of the field was wide open, and he did not take advantage of it. I think that would come with time. I think that's something that Brian Callahan and the coaches probably, you know, had him look at over and over again and say, hey, listen, we understand that you want to make pockets behind the line of scrimmage or in the pocket. But if there's a chance to run, the object is to get 10 yards and get another first down. Take it, get down when you need to, protect yourself, but don't just run recklessly out there.
By the way, the NFL credits Cam Ward with 9 scramble rush attempts this season, 0 designed rush attempts.
But the bottom line is, like, we pulled up his running stats the other day. I think he's got like 30 yards or something like that. It just hasn't been effective in the context, whether designed or not, designed or scramble. I'm looking for escapes. Now, my eye test tells me even plays where you're shuffling up in the pocket, you're buying time, and then throwing, which is a huge part of a quarterback's game. You think about how great Patrick Mahomes is. Think about how great Steve McNair was in that category. I'm sure there's an analytic that would tell you, you know, extended play throws. Ward supposedly is that's something he should be good at. I know he did that a lot in Miami. All the highlight films were filled with plays where he extended plays and threw it. I don't think he's been particularly effective in that as of yet. So I go back to the word escapability. I hope he can improve in that area. He's not quite as quick as I thought he would be in the pocket at extending plays or even using his legs to, like Derek said, just find a way to move the chains.
So earlier we played a clip from last season after the Titans lost in Washington after beating Houston. And Jeffrey Simmons talked about the Titans, quote unquote, being hungover from success. Earlier this week, Brian Callahan was asked about that game in Washington and any lessons he may take from that game as the Titans prepare for the Raiders. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say.
After the win in Houston last year, you guys went to Washington, didn't go very well. Do you learn anything from that experience in terms of getting the team back this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back and look at my notes and make sure I'm not doing any of the things that I did the last time. I don't think it was anything really dramatically different, to be honest with you. It was, I think we that game was a product of some early turnovers that broke it open pretty quickly. But we got to be ready to go play again. And I think my point to you guys after the game is the same as it was to the team today, that it's one game and we're trying to win more games and stack wins and stack the process. And that's our focus. And it feels great to win, but we also aren't, I'm not satisfied with all of it, and they shouldn't be either, because we got to play better. Earlier in the game, there's the good teams. If you give them a 21-6 lead and in most games in this league, you're going to have a hard time coming back. And thankfully we found a way to do it, but that's not the way we want to live, nor is it sustainable. And we got to find a way to play better earlier. And I think that's the key. And having the same mentality about how we feel after a loss when you're correcting the tape and making sure you're correcting what needs to get corrected.
That was Brian Callahan earlier this week. I'll have to go back and look at his notes. I
mean, it's a ridiculous thing. I mean, nobody tries to avoid being hard. You work hard. You play, you prepare for your game the best you can compare. To me, there's no connection between the two. They're also playing a team that's not nearly as good as the opponent was last year. This was when Washington was, taking the league by storm relative to what Washington has been for 30 years, right? That was the best Washington team in I don't know how long. When you get down to it,
a couple decades.
So really, if you're hungover, I'm more worried about the Las Vegas scene, people not going out on Saturday night. But we all want to see how they respond after having a little more success. And to finish the point on Cam Ward, he's got 14 carries for 36 yards. And this is maybe the more important thing. Success rate, 36%. Now, what's a successful run? It means, obviously, on third or fourth down, you have to pick up the first down. So if it's 3rd and 1 and you get 1, it's only 1 yard, but it's success.
You're keeping the offense on schedule.
Yes. If it's 3rd and 10 and you get 9, you get 9 yards, but it's not a success because you didn't get the first down. So you got to get 40% of the yards remaining. So on 1st and 10, you got to get at least 4 yards. So you see that's how they do it. So he has been an ineffective runner for the most part. Only 36 yards, period, and only 36% success rate. So we need to see improvement there. But this is what, when I watch him week in and week out, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Is he going to get better in that area, or is he just not quite as quick and effective with his legs as you would hope?
Ron on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, did y'all see Cam Scattaboo last night? I said during the draft that the Titans should have drafted Scattaboo. He could have really helped Cam spark the offense. Another draft miss. Both Cams could be leading this organization to the future, and we'll get to the Giants in just a matter of moments. But let me remind you that Cam Scattaboo, there was a scat trick last night, by the way. 3 touchdowns for Cam Scattaboo. So let's call it a scat trick. Get it?
Very nice.
We'll call it a scat trick.
But how many picks do you think the Titans have? He missed on this guy. I mean, he
was a 4th-round pick. So every team missed on him multiple times.
Right. So let's cherry pick
the Giants, I guess.
Let's cherry pick all the best players from each round and say the Titans should have picked.
Yeah, I can't go there, Ron.
Mr. Hindsight.
Derek,
but the Jackson Dart thing is an interesting story developing here.
We will talk about Jackson Dart in just a matter of moments. But Derek, as we continue to preview the game against the Raiders. You heard what Brian Callahan had to say. You heard what Jeffrey Simmons said at the end of last season. If you were counseling the Titans not to have a letdown against the Raiders, what would you tell them?
You don't have the right to have a letdown. You don't. You haven't earned the right to have a letdown. Even if you won 5 in a row, you still don't have the right to have a letdown. Why? Because we paying you too much damn money, and these fans are paying too much to come to see you play for you to have a letdown. That's why you shouldn't have a letdown. You haven't won enough to have a letdown. That's what I would tell them as a coach, because you're being brutally honest with them. Not that you're not a good team, or I don't believe that you're a good team. You hadn't proved it consistently yet, so you have no right. If somebody after a game, if the Titans lose this game and somebody come out and say it was a hangover, that person needs to be cut. They need to be cut that the very next day. And I don't care who it is. They need to be cut, because there's no reason why a 1-4 team, even a team last year, should have had a hangover after winning one game. You don't do that when you haven't won many. So you don't want that to be sort of the attitude going into this game. I don't think it's going to be. I think guys like Jeffrey Simmons that was there last year, Calvin Ridley's got guys like that. They understand how it can happen, how it can happen very fast, even after a win. So hopefully those guys are keeping the locker room accountable in regards to that. But they have no right to think they can take a game off. One, again, you haven't earned that right. And then two, I mean, people are paying good money to watch you and to see you play. They don't want to hear you took a day off or you just had a hangover.
Let's quickly go to Dustin in Hopkinsville on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Dustin, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, guys. So, yeah, I was the one called this morning, and I just want to clear something up. I have Cam Ward's back still. I do think he has a very high ceiling. But it's a conversation because there were 6 picks that New York offered you, and then they didn't even take Jackson Dart to the second. Or what was it, a third? I don't know where they took him.
Jackson Dart they traded back up into the first round and drafted him in the 20s in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. Surely we'd have had a pick to go back and get Jackson Dart if they got Cam Ward. And right now he's looking like his level is at least Tannehill, in my opinion. At least that. Okay? And you go get another great pieces around him. Y'all can sit here and say we should have got Cam Scatterboo, but y'all have to realize you can only get so many good players. You got to go after the one good player you want in the first. Then those players come off the board. Like you said, you can't just cherry pick all these guys that are doing great. We'd all love to have another Derrick Henry, Cam Scatterboo, and I will compare him. That dude is a dog. He hits you when you hit him. But like I said, I do have Cam's back. But it is a conversation we had. There are 6 picks that we let them offer us and didn't take it. On the other side of that, look at what our rookies are doing. Look at Morganzi. I think we're going to be in good shape. And when it does go off, I don't think it's going to be a long, drawn-out thing. I think it's going to happen like a flip of a light switch like it did in the fourth quarter. And we're just going to see all these little toys that Morganzi gave us just go off the map, and we're going to be talked about on ESPN and NFL. Either we're going to dumpster fire it even further, or we're going to just fly off the map by midseason this season, I think.
Thank you for the call, Dustin. And we will pick up that conversation on the other side, 615-737-1025, because something did happen in the NFL last night that had me wondering what Titans fans are feeling right now. And we will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025 this Sunday, the NFL game of the week, Dallas versus Carolina at noon on Sports Talk 830. NFL game of the week is presented by Circa Sportsbook Kentucky and Macero in 12 South. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Derek live out in Las Vegas at Circa as the Titans prepare to take on the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday. And by the way, Titans fans, if you are also in Las Vegas or are planning to go to Las Vegas, you can join up with Derek Mason, Chase McCabe, and Big Joe Dubin at the Overhang Bar at Circa. Drink specials, giveaways, including 2 tickets to the Titans-Raiders game. Go to circalasvegas.com for more information. Derek, when is that get-together, by the way? Do you have a date and time?
I think it's tonight.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, Titans fans, if you're in Las Vegas, if you are listening to this, head on over to the Overhang Bar at Circa. You can meet Derek Mason, Chase McCabe, Big Joe Dubin, hang out, even win tickets to see the Titans play the Raiders on Sunday. By the way, one texter has let me know that there is no age limit with foam parties. I beg to differ. I beg to differ, but I appreciate the texter letting me know that it would be okay for a 36-year-old father of one to go to a foam party.
A great man once said, and we'll bounce this off D-Mace, age is just a number. Am I right, D-Mace? Age is just a number.
Not in every situation.
Not at phone parties? At phone parties, I think age is just a number. Think about Thornton Mellon. We talked about him a couple of Fridays ago, right?
Okay, yeah, you got
I did a radio show from a college dorm room. Age is just a number.
So you
Thornton
got a point.
Mellon, I don't know if it was a phone party, but he had some fun in the hot tub with some women that he called his nieces when his girlfriend surprised him and showed up at the party.
I remember that.
Diane, say hello to my nieces.
Something tells me that foam parties were not a thing in 1986.
No.
So I don't know if Thornton Mellon ever participated in a foam party.
It was a great party, though, that Thornton Mellon threw in the dorms.
Derek, we are just picturing you at a foam party. Even if you're not, we're going to paint the picture that you are.
Theater of the mind. This is radio, unless you're watching on YouTube.
I'm not going to stop y'all. I'm not going to sit here and be, go back and forth. Y'all have. If y'all want to believe that, then by golly,
the music is good.
Let's go.
It's good music, so it's a good vibe.
By the end of the program, Derek is going to be doing the show live from the pool. If he has to call us, he'll do it, but we'll see what Derek gets into over the next couple of hours out in Las Vegas. So somebody texted us in the previous segment asking if we watched Cam Skattebo last night with the New York Giants. I saw he had 3 touchdowns. I called it a scat trick. That's probably somebody else has probably also come up with that, but I haven't heard it, so I'm going to say it was all me. A scat trick, 3 touchdowns from Cam Skattebo. But here is what I'm also wondering. By the way, the Giants defeated the Eagles 34-17 on Thursday Night Football. Jackson Dart, the other quarterback drafted in the first round. Cam Ward, of course, number 1 overall. Jackson Dart later in the first round. Dart, 17 of 25 for 195 yards and a touchdown, plus 13 carries for 58 yards. And a touchdown. So as I caught the extended highlights of the game, because I was at the Predators game last night. Predators win, by the way, 2-1 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll get back into the Predators later in the program. As I watched the extended highlights of the game, I thought to myself, Jackson Dart, he plays for a marquee franchise, the New York Giants. Thursday Night Football, only game on TV, nationally televised. Has a breakout performance against the defending Super Bowl champions. And the Giants double up the Eagles. Again, 34-17. And I'm thinking to myself, how many Titans fans out there right now are having buyer's remorse when it comes to Cam Ward? Because it's been reported that the Giants wanted to move up to number 1 overall to draft Cam Ward, offered the Titans many premium picks. The Titans, of course, turned down the offer and drafted Cam Ward. So as I'm watching that game, Willie, as I'm watching the highlights, I thought to myself, all of these things that I just listed, the fact that it was a nationally televised game, the fact that the Giants soundly defeated the defending Super Bowl champions, I thought to myself, man, there are got to be so many Titans fans out there right now that feel like the Titans made a mistake by drafting Cam Ward.
I'm curious about that because it's easy to be fickle, etc. I didn't see the game. The national story, of course, is what's going on with the Philly squad, because the Eagles have now been outscored for the season, even though they are still 4-2. So they've got time to fix this, but they've looked very gettable for a defending champ. But meanwhile, the Jackson Dart show is going, and he's doing this without Malik Neighbors, right? Neighbors is out. He's been hurt, so he doesn't have that elite receiver, and he's still finding a way to win. I haven't watched him closely to know why he's doing well. Maybe D-Mace has watched a little bit more than I have. I'm just going to stay consistent with what I've said. I thought they should have taken the package before they ever drafted Cam Ward. So it's not about Cam Ward, really. That decision had to be made before the pick. So it was, to me, about just the percentages, the dart throws, the picks that you were likely to get. Now, ironically, watch the Giants now string off, 6 or 7 wins or even 8 wins on the season, and maybe that package that you would have gotten for the Giants was not as attractive. Yet, I still say they should have taken the picks. That being said, Cam Ward looks still like he can be really good. And we don't know if Jackson Dart is going to be a star yet. We can't just assume that.
Derek,
Okay.
your thoughts on Jackson Dart so far and his performance last night against the Eagles?
Like Willie, I have not watched much of Jackson Dart. I did in college, but not so in the NFL. This is what happens, a few times when you're paying more attention to what seems to be a quarterback's success than you are with the development of your quarterback. I'm in the business of watching my quarterback develop, our quarterback, Cam Ward. I'm not in the business of watching Jackson Dart go out there and do the things that he does. I believe the Giants have a better team than the Titans. Yes, their number one receiver is hurt, but I think they have a better team. I think they have a better play caller. I think Brian Daboll is a better play caller. He has more play calling experience. So to me, and he's been at the job a little bit longer. They had a plan going in with Jackson Dart. He wasn't supposed to play, end up playing. He's progressing, I'm sure, sort of the way they want him to. I'm sure it's not all roses and lilies. We're only seeing highlights of Jackson Dart, what they're showing us. We're not seeing play by play. We're not seeing the almost interception that he threw or the ball that he dirted. Those are the things they're not talking about, and rightfully so. New York isn't a horrible team, a bad team, a team without young talent. The Titans is a team without young talent or young proven talent. The Giants are a little bit ahead of the Titans in where they want to be as a franchise. I'm not saying that they are light years ahead of the Titans, not even blocks. They are car lengths ahead of the the Titans, maybe one. But I'm in the business of looking at Cam Ward, watching him develop. Jackson Dart, is he playing well? At times, the number says he is. The numbers didn't bear it out the last game, but they won. So for me, Jackson Dart may be playing well, but I was in the camp of, if you think Cam's your guy, take him. I'm still in the camp of, if you think Cam's your guy, take him. It may work out for the Giants. They may, love Jackson Dart at the end. All I care about is it working out with Cam Ward and you loving Cam Ward, and I think they're headed down the right road.
One texter on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com to my question about buyer's remorse. Absolutely not. Cam is going to be a solid quarterback with or without the Titans. The Titans are literally their own worst enemy. We wouldn't be good if we had the first 5 picks in the draft. And I understand Derek's point. I've watched one full game of Jackson Dart because the Giants played the Saints a couple of weeks ago, and Dart was okay in that game. The issue here is, and I heard Joe Rexrode say this morning, Willie, which is there were two quarterbacks drafted in the first round, Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. And although Cam Ward had a fabulous end of the game last weekend in Arizona, he hasn't necessarily had that. Well, I guess that would have counted as his signature moment. But it's different when Cam Ward has that in a game where a lot of the country isn't watching versus when Jackson Dart has a big game against the defending Super Bowl champions in a divisional matchup on national television. And Rex Rhodes' point was, it's not great for Cam Ward that Jackson Dart, the other quarterback drafted in the first round, had that moment in front of a bigger audience.
I suppose. I don't know what I don't know the audience of a Thursday night game that for me, Thursday night is just packed with so many other things. I haven't been focusing as much. That's just me. And Dart was good. He had 195 yards. His QBR was really good. His passer rating was really good. I'm just going by the stats. And you beat the Super Bowl champs. So if you're the Giants and their fans, you're thrilled just because to have success like that this early is pretty significant. So yeah, but you can't, all of that stuff that you just mentioned with Joe, it's you can't worry about that. You have to have your eye on the big picture if you're the Titans. There's nothing you can do about this now. You are going to have to live with this, but you made your decision, and now it's all about insulating and giving your quarterback a chance to succeed, which is why, to me, the number one theme of this game is, A, can you build on what you did, but also can Latham, his presence, improve the offensive line? If I want to see what Cam Ward looks like, if he can have improved offensive line play week in and week out, that is really going to be a great litmus test.
One texter, David in Paris, on our text line says, what percentage do you give Ward's troubles to coaching? And do you think Dart would be talked about as much if he were playing here? First, to answer the second, I'll let Derek answer the first question. The second question is no, because we're Nashville and they're New York. And we are becoming a big city, but we're not New York. So if Jackson Dart were playing here, he would not be getting as much attention. Just think about how much time we spent talking about the fact that Cam Ward wasn't getting a lot of attention despite being the number one overall pick in the NFL draft. So to me, the second question, David in Paris, is absolutely not. If Dart were playing here, nobody really relative would be paying attention to Jackson Dart. But Derek, answer the first question. What percentage do you give Ward's troubles so far this season to coaching?
Man, I think there's, now when you say coaching, you mean play calling, or you mean
the texter only said coaching, so I think you can take it wherever you want to go.
I mean that's subjective. It could be play calling, it could be just him being a manager of the team because now his play calling has been stripped of him. But if you're talking about from a play calling standpoint, I don't think they have. I don't think they have put Cam Ward in a bad situation. I just think the roster around the quarterback isn't where it needs to be. They don't have enough young players or proven young players on this team yet. The young guys that are playing, it's their first year and they're still learning a lot of things. And then now you got guys that are young, but they were injured. Now they're coming back in Spears. So when I look at the Titans, to me, it's about what Brian Callahan can continue to do moving forward. From a play calling standpoint, he has no control over that anymore. I don't think he put him behind the 8 ball when it comes to play calling. I just think the roster is not good, and you can only call so much. The offensive line didn't play well the first 3 or 4 games. Well, at least 2 to 3 of them didn't play well. So when your offensive line isn't in rhythm, there isn't in sync, and you don't have enough time to throw, or you're getting rushed, it puts you behind the 8 ball. It causes you not to be able to call some of the things that you probably want to call to help the quarterback develop. I don't think in any way they've done anything to help this quarterback not develop from a play calling standpoint. Now, Brian Callahan has done some things as far as, you know, not challenging things and what he did right before the half. But as a whole, if you're just talking about the play calling, but as a whole, I don't think he's done much, at least the coaching staff. They're just working with the talent that they have. And we all know, we watch it every Sunday, just about. We all know this team they lack talent on this team. Not to say that they don't have any, they just lack enough of it.
Ricky on our YouTube chat says, Jackson Dart is Will Levis with a better coach. They aren't in the same stratosphere with Cam on leadership and clutch. Abel, it's the coaching staff that I have buyer's remorse for. Giants and Carolina and all these teams scoring 30-plus points, and the Titans can't score at all. So I blame Callahan and this management. The Titans have the worst coaching staff in the NFL easily. We'll continue this conversation with Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick coming up next. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com. Stephen Brentwood, by the way, says, is Derek broadcasting from a disco? Not quite, Steve. Derek is live in Las Vegas at Circa, nearby the pool. There may or may not be a foam party. We cannot confirm. But
Nor deny.
Nor deny. But that is where Derek is right now. And if you are going to Las Vegas for the Titans-Raiders game, or if you're there now, you can find Derek Mason, Chase McCabe, and Big Joe Dubin. They will be at the overhang bar inside Circa later tonight. Go see them. You can win some prizes, including 2 tickets to the game on Sunday between the Titans and the Raiders. 615-737-1025. Speaking of Circa, our show will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circa Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall on Monday. Prior to the Monday Night Football game, head up there and watch the Monday night games as the Bills take on the Falcons and the Bears face the Commanders. D. Mace Vingan and Donick 1025 the game. Gotta love Depeche Mode. Good call, Willie Donick. Good call.
Yes. Little Techno Friday today.
A little Policy of Truth.
DJ Will. Yeah. Policy of Truth.
I know my Depeche Mode.
Oh, you know your Depeche Mode. What album is this on?
Is this Violator?
Yes. Nice job,
There
Adam.
we go.
A+.
Ding,
Chad
ding, ding.
Withrow. Chad Withrow did not know that. I guarantee you Chad Withrow did not know that.
Chad
Actually,
Withrow on our
actually, I
phone
don't know.
line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. Are you a Depeche Mode fan, Chad Withrow?
I am a Depeche Mode fan, but I'd have to Google album names to try to just throw one back at you guys. The Violator pool was quite impressive.
That was impressive.
Thank you.
That was
I would
impressive.
not
Thank
have
you.
guessed that one.
That
Adam,
album,
Adam was
I did
maybe
know,
like
Willie.
0 years old.
Yeah, well, I knew that was Depeche Mode, so that's one for me. When I heard the music, I'm like, oh, that's Depeche Mode, so that's at least nice. And I am a fan, but I couldn't give you the album.
that album, by the way, was released 5 days before my first birthday.
I figured that's about right.
But let's talk Titans, Chad. Titans at Raiders in Las Vegas. That's where Derek is, by the way, on Sunday afternoon. It feels kind of weird to say this, Chad, when you're looking at a game between a 1-4 team and a 1-4 team. But this feels like a pivotal game for the Titans, and specifically Brian Callahan, to prove that they can build off of an improbable win last week. Do you share the same feeling I do about this game from the Titans' perspective?
Yeah, I mean, of follow-up games to what was one of the most improbable wins of the year by any team against Arizona. Yeah, I think the first thing I thought was, will the Titans actually be favored in this game? When I saw what the Raiders were doing against the Colts last Sunday, now they're not. I think it's a 3.5-point favorite for the Raiders.
And I'm surprised at that. Are you, Chad? I honestly just I could be wrong, but it's 3.5 seems a little much. This to me feels more like a pick'em game.
Yeah, I think if it was, if the game is in Nashville, and I know it's not a huge, home field advantage right now for the Titans, but if the Raiders had to travel across the country, I'd say maybe it's, Titans -1.5 or a pick'em. 3.5 did feel a little odd, especially now with no Brock Bowers, we know, for the Raiders. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very winnable game for the Titans. And I think for Brian Callahan, if you can just show, hey, we're not the worst team in the league, right? Like right now, the Jets are 0-5. The Giants last night got to 2-4. If you can get into that mix that it looks like things are improving, and especially for Cam Ward, that's only going to serve Brian Callahan well. And I think that's the goal now. It's not like they're going to turn around and be a playoff team this year or anything like that, but can you look like you're making marginal improvements with the roster that you have, given the injury situation, but most importantly, is your rookie quarterback getting better and better? And if that's the case, then, maybe Brian Callahan ends up having a shot.
Chad, we were just talking about the Giants win on Thursday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles last night, 34-17, not to disregard Cam Scatterboo's 3 touchdowns, which I am calling the scat trick. But Jackson Dart, 195 passing yards and a touchdown, 13 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown. How does Jackson Dart's performance last night make you feel about Cam Ward?
Well, he looks a lot better than Cam Ward. Now, what we don't know is that a coaching issue? Is that a personnel issue? Obviously, Cam Scatterboo is a great player. And you see a guy, he's drafted like in the low 100s. And I'm thinking, how does this happen with someone as productive as he was in college? Not that we couldn't see this, that he could be a productive player in the NFL. But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great for Cam Ward when Jackson Dart can get in, and I think they're 2-1 now with him as the star for the Giants. So it's been a huge improvement. But, again, I don't want to say that this is all on Cam with whatever's going on with the Titans. But I know Jonathan Hutton, who you guys have on, also threw this stat out. Cam Ward was like 15 of 40 in the last game and a half up until the fourth quarter on Sunday. And then he has that great drive and gets it going late in the game. But just a miserable stretch for him in the offense. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at rookie quarterbacks right now, Jackson Dart is off to a much better start than Cam Ward.
Chad Withrow is with us. So, Chad, we've had this debate earlier this week. And because I think when they botched the field goal and had that debacle against the Colts, I think a lot of people right there basically said, that's it. He's dead man walking, Callahan. And then, of course, he gives up the play calling duties, etc. So do you think there is a pathway for him to be the coach to start next year?
I think that there is. I think the odds of him actually navigating that pathway, Willie, effectively is extremely low based on what we've seen. First off, the roster works against you. Jeffrey Simmons is having a hell of a year. I mean, that's one guy you can look at and say, okay, he's doing what he needs to do, and even then some. I think he's been incredible so far this season. Outside of that, it's tough to look around and say, boy, you got these guys who are either playing to their level or above their level where you need them to be. And that ultimately is a Brian Callahan problem as well. So, yeah, look, I think there is a path for him to win enough to where I wouldn't think this. I think they need to move on at the end of the year regardless. But let's say they go, I don't know, 6-11. Let's say 7-10 at the end of the year. There is a world where Amy Adams Strunk could look at that and say, boy, they started terribly. They got a bunch of breaks at the end of the Arizona game, but they pulled it together and started winning some games. And the quarterback looks good and got better as the year went on. We're not going to replace that quarterback's OC and head coach with someone new and start a new system. Is that going to happen? I don't think so. I don't think there's any way they're going to win that many games. So I think he's done at the end of the year. But, I mean, we've seen crazy things happen in sports before where the Titans were handed that game by Arizona and they end up winning it in the end, and then things start to fall your way a little bit. Maybe that happens with this team, but I just don't see it.
Let's switch to college. You've got the big Red River game tomorrow, another spotlight game for Arch Manning, and it hasn't gotten better yet. We had this conversation before the season started about just how this would go, how Tennessee fans feel, SEC traditional fans feel. This is really unfolding in a way that I did not expect at all. What are we going to see tomorrow?
Yeah, it's crazy. Not just Arch Manning, too. I mean, the thing about the quarterbacks, Willie, that we thought we knew were good coming into this year, Garrett Nussmeier, I know he's got the abdominal injury, and he struggled. DJ Lagway struggled up until last week. Cade Klubnik got worse from one year to the next. It's amazing to see guys that not a lot changed around them, but yet they got worse quarterback-wise from one year to the next. Arch Manning's been a huge disappointment. I see Texas favored in this game, and I'm thinking, well, Vegas must know that John Mateer is not going to play. Even though there's a lot of questions about his availability, I don't think he's going to be 100%, and he probably won't even play. So if that happens, then, yeah, I think Texas probably has an advantage, but I don't think anyone could have seen their offense looking this bad this year. I mean, think of it from a Vanderbilt perspective. I came into the year thinking, oh, that's definitely a loss for Vandy at Texas. And then I look at it now and I think Vandy played with Texas a year ago. This Texas team looks far worse. That's a winnable game for Vanderbilt now. So Texas it's rough. I mean, they rushed for 11 against Florida last week. They're rushing for like 2 yards per carry. Their offensive line is a turnstile right now. It looks really bad for Steve Sarkisian, and it's kind of hard to explain given what they were able to accomplish last year.
We've seen some very bizarre games over the years between Tennessee and Arkansas. Now, D. Mace has picked Arkansas in the underdog picks, Chad. I know you have probably been made aware of that because D. Mace carries weight around this town.
Yes.
But you always talk about, avoiding the bad performance at the wrong time if you're Tennessee. How does this one shake out to you with Bobby Petrino at the helm?
Well, I think, I would feel a lot better about D. Mace's pick if this game was in Fayetteville, first off. I think the difference here is Josh Heupel's 25-2 over the last 4 seasons at Neyland Stadium. Those 2 losses were to Georgia, both of them. Hasn't lost to anybody else. So he's been really good in Knoxville. Look, Arkansas is tough to figure out because they haven't had a single issue on offense all season up until that Notre Dame game where they get blown out, and it's the end for Sam Pittman. So I don't know what Bobby Petrino really changes on offense, given their production so far has been really good. I mean, they're going to go for a few more 4th downs. They're going to try an onside kick. They might try a fake punt in this game with nothing to lose. So maybe the play calling, gets a little bit dicier for them. But to think that their defense, which has been awful all season long, you're going to fire 3 defensive assistants and suddenly be good on defense, I have a hard time believing that's going to happen. Now, Tennessee's going to have to score a lot of points in this game. I mean, Arkansas will score. Tennessee's defense has some holes, especially at safety. So I think they're going to have a hard time holding Arkansas down. But I think Tennessee can name their score offensively. If they don't turn the ball over a bunch, Tennessee's going to do whatever they want offensively in this game too. So, look, crazier things have happened. We saw Nico and UCLA beat James Franklin and Penn State a week ago as a 24.5-point underdog. This wouldn't be that wild to happen, but I just have a hard time seeing how all these changes are going to lead to the team playing inspired, under the great motivator Bobby Petrino. And suddenly we see a different defense out there tomorrow for Arkansas.
We're talking with Chad Withrow discussing college football as well as the NFL. Now, with looking at the SEC, do you consider Alabama the cream of the crop right at this moment, or do you think there will be continued jockeying for that position as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think Texas A&M's got something to say about that, D. Mace, when I watch them. That's an interesting game tomorrow for them with Florida, who seem to get a little bit of their swagger back against Texas. Yeah, look, the way they've played the last few weeks, I put Alabama right up there. Oklahoma, can they win? If they beat Texas with a backup quarterback, I think we're talking a lot more about Oklahoma. This is also the game that Kalen DeBoer loses, right? He doesn't lose the big games. He beats Georgia a year ago. They go to LSU and they blow out the Tigers a year ago. This year they go to Georgia and win. They beat Vandy in a big spotlight game where College Game Day's there. Look pretty good doing so. This is the game, though. They go to Missouri and lose. They go to Oklahoma a year ago as a big favorite and lose the game. So I'm watching this game and the game at South Carolina. I think they're going to be ready and play well against Tennessee and in Tuscaloosa next week. But I'm kind of circling these two games as big tests for Alabama.
Now, switching back over to the NFL, how do you think eventually this team looks when they get healthy? Spears came back last week, still look rusty, obviously, but the more and more he can play, I think the better he will get. You got JC coming back this game. So as these guys that they've counted on start to come back, how do you think this sort of ends up for the Titans? Do you think they will still be sort of the team that, yeah, they got a few players, but they just did that the roster's still not there? Or do you think there can be some improvement with those guys coming back?
I think there's going to be some improvement with those guys coming back, but they're better players than who's been playing so far, especially with Latham coming back. But, I mean, how much better can they get? I don't know. I think the biggest thing is, we talk so much about Cam Ward, but Io Manor, how does he continue to progress? Like, I want to see how these guys, the Titans have some guys they probably need to trade and get either younger assets or draft picks for that I'm not as concerned about. But I'm really concerned about Gunnar Helm as an example. Let's see what we got with Gunnar Helm. Let's see what we got with Alec Ironman. I'm looking at those guys if I'm the Titans and thinking, can we build around these players? Skoronski is playing well, as an example. Let's look at what we have and what we feel good about. And I think some of these guys, like Tajay Spears coming back, you can now look at them and say, all right, do we want to go to war with these guys moving forward? Or is this just part of the purge that's bound to happen with the coaching staff and everything else? And I think that's what, if you're Mike Borgonzi, if you're Chad Brinker, if you're the front office, and if they're the ones making the decisions moving forward, we don't know until after the season. But if they are, you really got to take stock of what you have on this team. And to be able to know, you need these guys to be healthy and playing. So I think that's the biggest benefit, is now you get to see them in more games because they're not going to be sidelined.
Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick has been our guest on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. He joins us every Friday afternoon. Chad, great stuff as always, my friend. We will catch up next week.
Always fun, guys. Have a great weekend.
You as well. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans. We'll also look ahead to some of the action in the SEC this weekend. A lot of intriguing matchups in that conference. 615-737-1025. D. Mace Ving and Donick is presented to you by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think with Bax Homeworks. You can get that free estimate right now at baxhomeworks.com.
Techno.
I'm just imagining
Just let
Willie.
it build for a second. Yep.
Okay,
This is
hold
the
on.
80s
All right.
picture. Donick in
Dance
the
to
short shorts,
With the
going
cute
up the
break
court.
dance to this.
Little spin move, crossover, inside
Man.
out. Yes.
I'm getting it, man. I'm doing.
I'm
the
just
robot and
imagining
everything.
Willie with a keytar. I can imagine Willie playing a keytar in the 80s. Are you familiar with a keytar? It's the guitar-looking thing.
Yes, but it's a keyboard
But it's a
on the guitar
keyboard,
with the neck
yeah.
and everything.
Yes.
Information Society, I'll have you know, the band here, performed at Disney World for what we call grad night, where you take the old yellow bus, all the seniors, you load up on the bus, schools from all around Central Florida, and you go to the Magic Kingdom all night long. Do you want to know who the bands were playing?
I want to hear this.
Okay.
Yes.
D-Mace, let me just bring you back in time, okay?
Yes.
You had a little Information Society, Samantha Fox, the New Kids on the Block, Midnight Star, D-Mace,
Oh yeah.
Midnight Star.
Okay.
I
keep
made
going.
sure I got to see them. They were good. I'm trying to think if there was one more. There's a couple more, but it was not like A-list bands, but they were like bands. Like obviously, New Kids on the Block was on the rise. It was before
They were literally new kids on the block.
Yes,
at
they
the
were
time.
new-
Now they're
They-
old kids on the block.
Yes,
Yes.
they are, and they still perform. They probably made it big more than any of the groups. So the Information Society kind of fizzled after that.
It's kind of a strange name for a band. Information Society.
Yes, I don't know where that came from.
Sounds like a extracurricular club at high school. It's like, hey, you want to join the
Yeah.
Information Society?
I'm sure our
Nerd.
younger audience are like, oh, get out of the 80s, man. Get out of the 80s. Although I find that the younger generation likes the 80s stuff. They like it.
Willie, do me a favor, because Derek, as you mentioned, chose Arkansas to upset Tennessee in silly underdog picks. By the way, I'm already a loser in silly underdog picks, as Tulane defeated East Carolina by a touchdown last night. East Carolina led going into the fourth quarter, but the Pirates were unable to get the job done. Dang it. But tell me what the line was when Derek picked that game. Do you have that
yes,
in the
I do.
scrolls? Because
I
the
do.
line at the moment is Tennessee minus 9.5. And I want to say it was 12.5.
Indeed, it was
2
12
days
and a
ago.
half. Yes.
So how did that change so dramatically, you think?
Well, I was hoping that Chad would kind of explain that, but I don't know. He mentioned that Tennessee has an issue at safety. Maybe it's just one of those things where they're trying to balance the books, as they say. So I can't give you an answer. I am curious of what Chad, because Arkansas, they are dangerous offensively. When I have watched them play, they have some talent. They got some dudes that when they get going downhill, like, they are dangerous. The Memphis game was a track meet. The issue was not offense for Arkansas. It was defense.
And fumbling the ball.
Yes. Arkansas also cannot get out of their own way. That's another problem. They have hurt themselves a lot. Now, I didn't see the collapse against Notre Dame where they got completely annihilated, but this is my theory. And it's not my theory. Derek, it's Mitch Light's theory of, you see teams run hot and cold week to week. There's not quite as much consistency from the top teams and poorness from the bottom teams. I think you tune in the TV one week, a team can look really good. Then the next week, not quite as good. Like Ole Miss is the cat's meow right now. But could they level off with the teams they play? I think possibly, right? LSU was ranked way up. They've hit a little dip. Can they come back up? South Carolina completely has been off the radar since they lost to Vanderbilt. Could they creep back in? Like, they play at LSU tomorrow. And so Arkansas, I think, D-Mace, is capable, talent-wise, if they can not screw everything up and hurt themselves, of challenging Tennessee. I don't know if they're going to win, though. You surprised me when you picked them.
No, I think like last year, and like, just about every year, but I'm talking about Tennessee more specifically. Just like last year, this was a game they were supposed to win, and for whatever reason, as we've seen each and every year in the college football, there are those games where the point spread is, yeah, you should win. It's a no-brainer, and it ends up being Not that. We saw that last week. 24-point deficit. 24-point dog. UCLA, they end up winning the game. Why? Because Penn State didn't come out and play. And when they chose to play, it was a little bit too late. Arkansas, the one thing that Arkansas can do very well is score points. The only thing they need to do is for Tennessee to make a few mistakes. And if they make a few mistakes, that's going to do them in. Because I think they're going to get that. Even though Petrino was already calling the plays, I think they do get that bump from having a new coach. I think the attitude in the building changes, at least for one game. So that's why I am picking Arkansas. I just think that Tennessee is primed for a defeat. Now, if they don't lose, if Tennessee wins this game, it would be hard for me to say Tennessee loses moving forward, because I think anything after this game is they'll be ready. But this is the game, not to say that they're not going to be ready, but just maybe this is that game, just like it has been for many other teams each and every year, where for whatever reason you come out flat. You don't think Penn State went out there with the mindset to win the game? Yeah, they did. They thought they were going to win. They prepared to win. But on game day, some switch. Whatever it was, some switch. And UCLA looked like the better team last week. That may end up happening this week. If it wasn't for silly underdogs, I wouldn't pick Arkansas. But because I think Arkansas is going to win.
By the way, if I am not mistaken, the only loss following an open week suffered by the Volunteers since Josh Heupel became coach was last season against Arkansas. So just keep that in mind with Tennessee off last week. Let's go to Ryan on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ryan, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Doing well. I got a question for Willie, or a comment and a question. Do you still think Vandy makes the playoff?
Still, what do you mean? You have not heard Coach Willie.
Coach Willie has said no such thing.
That Vanderbilt will make the playoff. Those words have not come out of my mouth.
Yes, you must not know Coach Willie,
Coach
Ryan.
Willie
There's a difference between Willie Donick and Coach Willie.
Now,
Coach Willie.
Okay. This is Coach Willie's approach on this. They've got the bye week this week. I feel like their performance at Alabama can tell you that if they can play their best, they are capable of winning any game on their schedule remaining. But they're also capable, I think, of losing every game on their schedule remaining. And that's where my Mitch Light theory is coming in. He used a good example. Texas A&M right now is kind of the trendy team. Florida looked like they were completely checked out. They put together a very strong performance last week at home against Texas and beat them soundly. So can they go on the road against Texas? Will Texas A&M have a dud? So my thought is, Ryan, Vanderbilt is going to win some, lose some between now and the end of the season. They play good teams. They're not going to beat them all. And they would have to probably beat all but one. So that would include losing no more than one of these games.
Yeah,
LSU, Auburn, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee. Those are the 5 games. And am I missing one? Did I say Auburn?
No, you're right on. I got a question about the Preds game last night. Who do you think won the forecheck battle last night?
Thank you for the call, Ryan. Who won the forecheck battle last night? That's an interesting question. We will get back into the Predators, by the way.
We're circle back to the Predators later.
Okay, so put a pin in that, Ryan. We will attempt to answer your question.
I mean, it was okay. The forecheck is going to need to be an important thing. I thought the forecheck of the bottom 2 lines was actually pretty good. Eric Holland's line and Michael McCarron's line.
By the way, David in Arkansas says, D-Mace, you were already one of my favorites, but now you're getting a huge bump picking the Hogs. Woo, pig. That's from David in Arkansas. And speaking of D-Mace, it is time for Ask D-Mace Las Vegas edition. If you have a question if you have a question, you can call or text us at 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Derek also tells us he has a wild story for us, and I told him not to tell us until 5 o'clock. So we will hear that story coming up next. And if you have a question for Derek, call or text 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mace.
We'll welcome you in.
Now, D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for Ask D-Mace on D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Derek Mason is live in Las Vegas at the Circa Hotel ahead of the Titans matchup against the Raiders in Las Vegas on Sunday afternoon. Derek is situated by some sort of rave based on what we're hearing in the background. Derek has exercised self-control. He has stayed on the show for the past 2 hours, despite the fact that I imagine there are plenty of things drawing him toward whatever party is going on over there at the hotel. You can hear it in the background. But Derek, you told us earlier you have a wild story for us. And I said, don't tell us. Don't tell us. Save it for Ask D-Mace. By the way, if you have a question for Derek, call us, text us. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. If you have a question for Derek Mason. But Derek, you said you have a wild story for us, so I want to hear this wild story.
Yes, and first I want to direct your attention to what I'm looking at. Can y'all see that?
You're on a delay that I'm watching.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm in anticipation here.
But
Is it Chase McCabe at a foam party?
That is not a visual I really like to see.
That foam you saw and that white spot was Chase. No, okay.
Oh, okay. I know exactly where you are, D-Mace. I have been to this place.
Okay, so you know where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know exactly where I'm at. So, yes, that's my view. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. So I will paint the picture for those just listening. There is a rooftop. There's a bunch of cabanas. You're on a rooftop, and they have these enormous scoreboards and TV screens that are thousands of feet wide and stuff. So they have one. You can put a bunch of games on them, or you can put one game on there. And, of course, they have all the betting lines up and down that you can bet on. And it's a pool party, basically. They just play music all day.
All day, as long as you want. But it is sprinkling a little bit here in Vegas. So I know that ain't dampening anybody's spirits because it's raining a little bit, but it is. So yesterday, let me get to it. Yesterday, and before I say this, I want to personally thank everybody at Bridgestone, every person that helped me yesterday at Bridgestone. They are some of the nicest and helpful people, from the security people to everybody, customer service, everybody. They were so nice, and they were trying to be as helpful as they possibly could yesterday for me. So before I tell a story, I want to say thank you to everybody that was trying to help me last night in my situation that I found myself in. That was ultimately fixed. It was ultimately dealt with. Everything was okay. So yesterday, after the show, yesterday I came in bopping in the show. Everything was happy and fun. Everybody is hockey. It's opening night with the Nashville Predators. Who could be happier? Nobody but us, like Harbaugh says. So I'm bopping through the place, do the show. I said I'm about to head home, get dressed, eat a little bit, and then come back to the game. Me and McCall come back to the game and enjoy a night of just watching the Preds win. Well, I got down to my car, and I grabbed the handle, and my door didn't open. Then I searched to my bag, and I realized that I didn't have my key. I had my key. I knew when I got out of my car, but I didn't know whether I left it in my car or if I lost it somewhere in Bridgestone. So when I was supposed to be sitting in those beautiful seats that I had to watch this team have an awesome win. I was going in and out of Bridgestone looking for my car key the whole night.
Oh,
I didn't get a chance to relax, but even in all that, everybody at Bridgestone that I asked, they were more than helpful. They were so gracious. Nick, you did a what? Thank you. I text Nick, Barnowski. I texted him and told him what happened with my
fellow
key and
Spartan.
everything. The fellow Spartan. I called him. I texted him. He texted me back after the game. He said, "You know what, Derek? Somebody turned your key in, and I'm going to get it to you ASAP." I said, "Thank you." At this time, I was already home. Now I had already caught an Uber home. I'm relaxing. I had already called a tow truck, and they had to come. Here's the funny part. A service came out because I thought I locked my key in the car. So a service comes out, and they're trying to open up my door these crazy ways. They couldn't open it. They said, "Sir, don't you know you bought a tank? We cannot get in this thing." And I'm thinking like, okay, they can't get in. So I'm thinking like, I got to tow it. So I call a tow truck. Mind you, the ceilings are only so tall in Bridgestone's parking structure. So you know what, Willie? I couldn't get a conventional tow truck. Couldn't get one. So I had to call this specialized tow truck people. And the guy told me, he was nice too. He said, "Listen, we'll be there in an hour." He said, "Well, we may have some other stuff come up." He said, "Because of the game, we may have some." So hour passed. I'm hopping in my car, call the guy, and he says, "I am so sorry, man. We got 2 Metro jobs, and it's going to be at least another hour." So now we're pushing into almost like 11 o'clock. So Nick calls me and said, "Derek, we have your key. Someone turned it in after the game." I said, "Thank you." I said, "I will be up there ASAP to get my key." I took an Uber back. The security people came down. They gave me my key, and I was off and running. It was a long night. But I thank everybody at Bridgestone, everybody that helped me. Though, I mean, I couldn't have asked for any better help.
So
thank you.
So the person that found your key was not the same person that was running the parking garage at Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he and the buddy jumped in Ferris's, or I guess it was Cameron's dad's car.
Yes.
And they took the joyride.
Yes, those people were not manning the building.
they were actually very nice. They got the job done. Well, that is a good story. I'll tell you what, over the years, there have been times where somebody lost something, and I'm like, well, that's it. It's gone. You're never going to see that again. Only to actually have it turn up. Several times over the years. So there are good people out there that will actually turn something into security or the lost and found. So don't panic if you're that person like D-Mace who lost the key or some sort of valuable. They do a good job over there. They do a very good job over there.
So thank you, those folks at Bridgestone that helped me.
Good to hear. Glad to hear that you got your key back. Let's get to your questions for Derek, 615-737-1025. Call or text right now. Joey from Bellevue. My question is for both Derek and Willie. Joey says, "I have a fear of flying. It's awful." Derek, you traveled a lot during your playing days, and Willie, you travel with the Predators. Were there any players who were also terrified of flying? And if so, does the NFL and NHL allow them to take anxiety medicine so they won't fail a potential test?
Wow, we never had anyone that had a fear of flying. Now, we had some guys, maybe freak out a little bit on a turbulent flight, but we've never had anyone that had the fear of flying to a point where they had to, take some type of medication. I'm sure that the NFL has rules in place if indeed that happens. And so what people got to understand is those rules are in there for a specific reason. We understand, but there are ways around some of them if you have, when it comes to medication. Because if you have a doctor's consent and there's a valid reason why, then the NFL tends to lean toward more doing what's best for the player in that situation.
I will only share this story because he's written about it publicly with and he's now dedicated a lot of his life in his post career to helping people. But Adam, you remember Colin Wilson for the Predators?
I was going to share a Colin Wilson story.
Yeah.
So why don't you go
and,
first?
And I was flying with the team in those days. I wasn't aware of what he was going through, but he had a very, very he had OCD. I guess you still have it. You deal with it as you go forward, but OCD, right? Obsessive compulsive
Correct.
disorder.
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
So he chronicled in I think it was the Players Tribune, some of the struggles he had, and he would have to go through this routine to feel just okay about getting through it, because that's the problem as a player. When you have a fear of flying, especially for baseball or hockey or basketball, where you're constantly flying, there's only one way. You physically can't get to the games sometimes if you don't get on the plane, so you have to deal with it. But he struggled with that a lot, and it led to a lot of other things. And so if you want to read about it, you can Google it. But Colin has done some really good work in his post-career just trying to help people that have gone through similar experiences. But you wouldn't know it when he was on the plane. Like it's hard, right? You don't want to. It's just like anything else. You don't want to admit to all your peers that, hey, I'm struggling here. So he would find his ways to cope with it. But wow, that's what came to mind.
So when the Predators played the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs in 2018, Colin Wilson was a member of that Avalanche team. And I remember before that series started, we were in the dressing room at Centennial Sportsplex, and a reporter asked Pecorine, because what often happens when a player faces his former team in the playoffs, there's always a storyline of this player is going to go to the coaching staff and spill all the secrets, right? Like, I played over there. I know what they're going to do. I will lay it out for the coaches to help game plan against the former team. So a reporter asked Pecorine, Colin Wilson plays for the Avalanche right now. He may be spilling some secrets as you prepare for the playoffs. If someone were to ask you for a secret about Colin Wilson, what would you say? And Pecorine, lovely man. I don't know if he quite understood the question. And he said, well, I would have to hold his hands during takeoff on our flights because he was afraid of flying. And Pekka didn't mean anything by it. But I will tell you that Colin was pissed because that got out. Pissed that got out because he had not shared the story that you're referencing yet. He was really mad and said some funny things to me about the reporter in question, which I'm not going to share here because they're inappropriate. But it's not like the
it's a real thing for the people that have it. I don't know what makes somebody afraid of.
Well, what was
flying,
the most famous example? John Madden, right?
Yes.
John Madden drove a bus. If I'm not mistaken, when Tony Kornheiser did Monday Night Football, he also, I think, is afraid of flying or does not prefer to fly. And I hate long car drives. I could not drive across the country. I don't love flying either, but I'm not necessarily afraid of it. But yeah, I mean, NFL teams, NHL teams, they fly luxuriously. But that doesn't make the experience any less frightening for some players. So I totally get that. Andrew from Dover on our text line. Again, if you have a question for Derek, 615-737-1025. D. Mace, I lost my grandfather the first day of vacation about 2 months ago. He was a huge Steelers fan, which leads me to my question. Who was a scarier opponent, Ray Lewis or James Harrison?
Ooh.
Listen. Scarier, man. Both of them. I mean, if you're trying to go to the middle, both of them scary. But I've never got hit by Ray in a sense of like it was like ooh, it was always just a tackle. But it wasn't the other way with old boy from Pittsburgh. I was running a quick out. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was running a quick out from the inside slot position against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And boy, oh boy, when I turned around, I thought it was just going to be a routine catch and turn up the field. Little did I know that James Harrison was sitting right there too. And as soon as my hands contact the ball, his shoulder pads contacted my chest, and the ball ended up on the ground, and it ended up being 4th down. It wasn't going to be a first down anyway, but man, oh man, did that hurt. So, yeah, I would tend to fear James Harrison a little bit more.
One texter wants to know, since you are in Las Vegas, red or black on roulette?
Ooh. Oh, red or black. Red or black. I don't know, man. I'm not a roulette player. But give me black. I'm going black.
Wesley Snipes.
Put 100,000 on black.
What was Wesley Snipes? What movie was that when he said always bet on black?
Wasn't that
what was that movie?
It wasn't the vampire movie, was it?
No, I
think it was the
Wesley
vampire
Snipes 90s movies. They run together for me.
Passenger 57.
Yes,
it was Blade.
That's
It
it.
was Blade.
Passenger 57.
Oh, was
That's
it Passenger 57?
Always bet on black.
I thought he said that in Blade. Hey, Wesley was the joint back in the day. Huh?
Oh yeah. Major League Wesley Snipes. Willie Mays Hayes. Just can't beat it.
Let's go to Frankie on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Frankie, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, my lost and found story was I was down at the Oak Grove Casino in front of Fort Campbell. Got up from a slot machine, left my iPhone, went to security. They dialed it immediately, went straight to voicemail. Somebody had it, was going to try to steal it. Later on that night, I got on another phone, and it showed Find My Phone was about 15 miles north. And the next morning, they opened the phone, turned it on, and a message popped up, said, you need to contact this person. He has a lost phone. And I guess the guy got scared because I sent the cops up there the night before, banged on his door. He called me, met me at Tractor Supply, and I got my phone back. So always keep Find My Way on your phone.
Thank you, Frankie.
To find my way. How many phones have been saved or AirPods?
I guess what Derek needs to do is get an AirTag, an Apple AirTag, and put it on your keychain in case this happens again.
I have Apple AirTags on certain things, especially when
now you got to put them on your keys.
Yeah, I have it on the key. If I found a way to glue it onto the key, I would. If I didn't think it would harm the key, I would glue it onto the key.
I think you may need to put an AirTag on chasing Big Joe this weekend.
That is a smart idea.
And just like, where's Waldo? Just
find my
throw it down.
My boss. Find the suit.
Yes. Who knows what Chase and Big Joe are up to right now in Las Vegas?
They may be by the pool right now. They may be.
They may be at the phone party. We'll never know. We'll never know.
Do you have a game of choice, D Mace? Do you play the slots or the?
The last time I was in a casino and actually played, I was at Paradise Island, and this was when the kids were younger. And for some reason, I got on a blackjack table. And I don't know, it must have been my night because I won. And I played once after that. But usually, I'm not a blackjack guy or tables guy or slot guy.
Yeah, I'm not much of a betting man either.
I cannot get into it. Every time I go to Vegas, I have fear of losing money or something. I can't. I'm not that interested in digging in. I think that I'm not good. I haven't studied how to play, and so I'm just like, don't do it. Just don't do it.
I quickly have one Las Vegas story that I can share. So
now he has previewed this story, D Mace. I want you to pay attention. I want you to just close your eyes and visualize this.
Okay. So several years ago, I went to Las Vegas to cover a Predators Golden Knights game. And I invited my now wife, and my parents also came. So we made a little family getaway out of it. And we decided as a family to go see the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil show, which I think I don't know if it's MGM Grand. I can't remember. I can't remember which hotel, but we couldn't get tickets to the earlier performance, which was around 7 or 7:30. So we got tickets to the later performance, which was around 9:30. Now, keep in mind, I had flown from Nashville to Las Vegas early in the day. It was a busy day. I did have to work. The Predators practiced that day. I had to write a story about it.
It's a business trip.
It's a business trip. So I was tired, but I wanted to see this show. And it was a fabulous show. But at one point during the show, I could feel myself nodding off. And
It couldn't have been that great a show then.
I tried really hard to stay awake. I ultimately nodded off. And when I shook myself off to wake up, it was during the Thriller performance. And a lot of the performers were dressed as zombies. They had, you know how sometimes with these shows,
Well, we all saw the video Thriller. I mean, so they were all dancing around the zombies.
So they were in the aisleway, and I was seated on the aisle. So I woke up and I just saw this Cirque du Soleil performer in zombie getup gyrating just inches from my head, and I freaked out. It was not quite the scene from Knocked Up where Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd go to Vegas and take shrooms and go to a Cirque du Soleil performance, but it was pretty close. So that was my my Las Vegas.
Did you sense that the crowd was having fun at your expense at that point?
I don't think anybody noticed.
Nobody noticed?
I don't think
what about the people sitting around you? What about your parents?
I don't think the zombie saw that I was asleep and tried to. I think it was just a coincidence.
You don't think they were like, "Hey, look at this guy. He's falling asleep at our show. I'm going to show him."
We're going to make sure we get him.
Yeah. You know that's what happened.
Hey, when Adam was telling the story, I did close my eyes. You know how I pictured it? You know, in those commercials when they start talking about a person and they add people in, it's like bling, bling, bling.
Yeah.
That's how it was with Adam. He was like, well, I went to Vegas and I took my wife, bling, and my wife's family, bling, bling. And I pictured a minivan. Them getting in the minivan on a strip. There you go.
615-737-1025. If you have any questions for Derek, you can still get them in at 615-737-1025. We will also revisit the Predators season opening win against the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. We'll do that next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Happy Friday, everyone. Derek Mason here. And if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to LawTigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance company want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit LawTigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
Yossi at the blue line for Forsberg, right circle. Low right, turning now O'Reilly. And O'Reilly, a beautiful backhander up into the net. Wow. Absolutely gorgeous. And the Predators tally on the power play to take a 2-1 lead.
That, of course, was Pete Weber on the call last night, calling Ryan O'Reilly's game-winning power play goal early in the third period. Predators win 2-1 last night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Nashville will be back in action tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena, a 7 o'clock puck drop against the Utah Mammoth in a prehistoric matchup. The saber-toothed tiger and I guess the mastodon. Something along those lines. Either way, Mammoth and Predators tomorrow at 7 o'clock at Bridgestone Arena. But we opened the show talking about the Predators win. We focused on UC Saros, who was excellent last night. 37 saves on 38 shots. He stole the game for the Predators, saved about 2 goals more than he should have based on the quality of chances that the Columbus Blue Jackets had. And, of course, it being a one-score game, that means UC Saros stole the game for the Predators last night. But let's focus on the other major storyline in the game, Willie Donick, and that is the NHL debut of Brady Martin. As you may have heard once or twice or 10 times, Brady Martin was the second youngest Predators player in franchise history to make his NHL debut behind Scott Hartnell 25 years ago. Brady Martin played roughly 13 minutes, 2 of 7 in the face-off circle, no shots on goal, had a block shot, a couple of giveaways. I would say, Willie, that was what I would have expected from Brady Martin's NHL debut. I think he said after the game that he really got a feel for the strength of NHL players and that he needs to hit the gym a little bit more to handle that, which totally makes sense when you're 18 years old playing in the NHL. But what did you make of Brady Martin's NHL debut? What stood out to you, both good, and what are you looking for from him as the season goes on here in the next couple of weeks?
I thought he held his own. I thought he flashed. You could see why he would be a high first-round pick to be able to do what he did at 18. In the first period, in fact, there were a couple of plays where it didn't register as a shot on goal, but he was maybe in position to where if he gets a bounce, he could have had a great scoring chance or a goal. He was just a tick off. I think the dilemma going forward is what they're going to have to figure out, because as the game wore on, his line was having some trouble matching up. This is something we touched on in the first hour of the show. They were having some trouble keeping up with Columbus's first line, which is really, really dynamic. And they had to adjust a little bit as the game wore on. But I thought Andrew Brunette did a great job sticking to it and finding ways to continue to get him out there some, because I was wondering, because I've seen it where a coach, not just Andrew Brunette, but a lot of coaches would say, okay, this kid is a little bit over his head. He's struggling. Let's shorten the bench and let's not get it. Let's just not put him in there. They did take him at times off of the first line and spot Steven Stamkos on the line with Philip Forsberg and Ryan O'Reilly. But by and large, they kept finding ways to get him in there. They got him a little bit in there on the second power play. So I thought overall it was a very positive experience for him. The question is, can he stay in that role night in, night out all season? I think that's a lot to ask, especially if you're thinking he's a top 6 guy. So that's what they have to discuss internally, I think, as they try to sort this out while they have the 9 games to play with. I think at this point, he's going to get in those 9 games somewhere along the line. Is it going to be the first 9? I don't know. Are they going to spot him, sit him out? Once Luke Evangelista becomes eligible, and I haven't heard anything new on that today, as soon as he gets the green light, he will be in there. So he'll take somebody's spot, whether that's Martin or Joachim Kemmel, who flashed a couple times yesterday, but is still a really young player who could use some seasoning. But I think this is what Andrew Brunette is going to have to navigate. I think he's got a defensive formula and a goalie that will keep them in games. But the young guys, as they're trying to find their way, I think he's going to have nights kind of like last night. He's got to gauge what are my really young guys giving me, and what nights are they just not going to give me much.
Yesterday, we had Elliot Freeman on the program. We were talking about Brady Martin, and he told a story about Mike Richards. Mike Richards was part of those LA Kings Stanley Cup winning teams in 2012 and 2014. I believe both of them, if I'm not mistaken. And he was telling a story about Mike Richards when he first got to the NHL. He played center, and how just he got his butt kicked early on against these top centers that he was facing. And I'm looking at the Predators' upcoming schedule. They play Utah tomorrow. They go on the road all next week. Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg. And I'm thinking of some of the other top centers who Brady Martin could be matched up against next week. In Ottawa, you have Tim Stützle or Dylan Cousins. In Montreal, you have Nick Suzuki. In Toronto, you have Austin Matthews or John Tavares. In Winnipeg, you have Mark Scheifele and Jonathan Taves. So I think it's a good test for young Brady Martin against some of these well-established NHL veteran centers. Derek, you have a question for us about the Predators.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to ask Willie, how do you think? Because I thought I heard either Mace mention something about it, or it may have been you, Willie, or during intermission. It may have been intermission. It may have been Hal and Lindsay about how they protect the young guy. That's what I talked about with the Titans. How do you protect your young assets as they continue to develop? Because the last thing you want to do is throw them out there and not have a plan and not protect them as a young guy and end up doing more harm than good. So how do you think they protected him yesterday? And then moving forward, how do you think they do that?
I think it's a great question, and it's something they are definitely being mindful of. It's easier to do at home. And I noticed a few times they would put him out there if the face-off was in the offensive zone. In other words, if the face-off is right in front of the opposition's goalie and you have a chance to win a face-off and get an offensive chance, and if you lose the face-off, at least the other team's not in a position to score right away, that's a position where you can get him in there. They call it, Adam, sheltering, right?
Yes.
You can notice that on a stat sheet if you look closely enough of a player being sheltered, right?
Right. So
I would imagine you will see some of that with Martin.
Players are sheltered. You can look at where they start, as Willie just said, where they start their shifts. So players like Michael McCarron, for example, or Eric Halla, quote unquote, bottom six centers, they tend to have more defensive assignments. So they will, when the puck is dropped in the defensive zone, they will be the ones taking those faceoffs. More offensive-minded players who have limitations to their defensive games will start in the offensive zone, furthest away from their own end, to try to create offense. So I don't have the breakdown of how many O-zone draws Brady Martin took last night, but that is something to keep an eye on.
And the best players can do both, right? Ryan O'Reilly would be an example of a good two-way guy that you want him wherever you can get him in there. Eric Halla had an excellent night in the faceoff circle last night, taking a lot of D-zone draws. But I hope that answers your question, Derek, because it is definitely something. They want to put him in a position to succeed. I think at home you can do it more. You mentioned top centers. Logan Cooley is a great young center that is very dynamic.
Who plays for Utah.
So you have to deal with him tomorrow. The other thing that Andrew Burnett has to deal with is his number 2 center, Fedor Svechkov, also a very young player. He's further along than Brady Martin, but he's only 22. Svechkov had some good plays last night, some good looks, but by and large, if you look at his possession numbers, his quality, expected goals for, it wasn't good. That line struggled, which is also part of the reason I think they moved Steven Stamkos up to try to get him in some better spots, because that's an awfully young line, Svechkov and Kemmel with Stamkos. But Adam, I think that's what I see going forward as a challenge for this team is can this work, this spreading out of the veterans and putting some really young players in the mix? How can that work? Now, Evangelista should be further along. He should help push one of these lines along a little bit. But I think, like you said, on that road trip, that's when you don't control the matchups, and that's when you really got some tough spots that they're going to be in, and we'll see if they hold their mud.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Predators are back at home tomorrow night against the Utah Mammoth. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 1025 The Game. We will wrap up the show and the week coming up next by taking it to the bank. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. It's the end of the week, so it's time to take it to the bank with our friends at F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Visit one of their locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. Before we make our selections for the week, and Willie is in charge of our common questions for the week, let's recap how we did last week. David Janes, if you will.
All right, boys. So let's start off with the primary questions, general questions that we sent out. Adam, you asked the question of Alec Iomenor over under 3.5 receptions versus the Arizona Cardinals. That did not happen. But we all said over, so we all don't get any points on that one. The next one was, will the final score of Vanderbilt versus Alabama, which was 11.5, be within single digits? We were so close, Willie. Me and you both had
I've tried to erase this from my memory. That last play. Goodness.
It was, I was there, and like when I saw him running that touchdown, I was like, gosh dang it. Like that, like why do we have to do that?
So double, I don't know. It was so odd because you asked it in such a weird way, Adam, so it was looming. It wasn't like a point spread. It was, will it be double digits one way or the other? And of course it's 9.
I think the specific question was
on the last play, basically.
I think the specific question was, will the final score of Vanderbilt, Alabama, regardless of who wins, be within single digits?
Yeah. And
it was until a 4th and 2 play that the game was over.
I will take the front door cover.
It was like less than a minute. D-Mace, you also had the under, I thought I heard, or the over, I thought. You said it was so D-Mace and Adam both got points, and me and Willie unfortunately did not get points off that. Now, though, let's go to the other points. Adam, you said Marvin Harrison Jr. would get a touchdown.
I was robbed. Robbed.
Hey, listen.
He had already sent the text.
Hey, I got it.
Yeah, he said, point right there.
It was called a touchdown initially.
It was. Everybody celebrated.
Yes.
They put it up on the TV.
I was robbed.
Listen, you gotta wait for the umpire, the official.
Yeah. Every play is reviewed.
Exactly.
Every scoring play is reviewed.
I was robbed.
Spotted at the one.
Listen, the official makes the final call. That's
fair enough. I mean, I'm not disputing it. I just think I know.
And you also, but you didn't get robbed on this. Clemson over UNC minus 13.5. You got points off of that.
That was covered in the first quarter, by the way.
It was bad.
28-3 after the first quarter.
So you got 4 total points from the week.
Okay.
For a total of 27 points.
I'll take it.
Right now, you're in second place.
Diggity.
Now, D-May, no, let's go to Willie. I'm sorry. Willie, you said Miami minus 4.5 over Florida, which happened.
And they almost blew that one. They were way ahead, and Florida State made it more interesting than it really was.
And then you also said Texas A&M minus 16.5.
Thank you.
Dr. Crane was not happy with you on that pick, but you got a point off that. So you have 6 total points for a total of 39 points.
Yes.
Now, D-Mace, this is going to you. D-Mace, you said your Detroit Tigers, your beloved Detroit Tigers who play this week or play today.
Yes, a big one for the Tigers tonight.
The Mariners on Saturday. They did. It was a close one, a 4-3 win. And then you also said Diego Pavia would have 2 touchdowns or be a part of 2 touchdowns, and he did not get 2 touchdowns. He wasn't a part of 2 touchdowns. So sorry. But you got 3 points. So you have 4 total points for 19 total.
Hey, that means I'm still moving. I'm still digging dirt.
You're still in there, D-Mace, but you're still last.
At this point, D-Mace, you need to pick up the pace if you're going to defend your title.
You're slacking right now.
You are the defending champion, but you are in trouble right now.
So what you saying? I need to get a bulldozer?
Yes, exactly. Now, to me, I had my Memphis Tigers over Tulsa to cover 20.5. They did. I mean, it was without a doubt.
Memphis is playing good ball.
Guess what, guys? You know who the only team to be bowl eligible is? The Memphis Tigers.
Okay.
Are they going to make the playoff? That's the question.
There's
right?
a chance.
There is a chance.
They got Tulane, which is a really good team as well. I mean, again, sorry, Adam, but there's a good chance that they might be it. And then I also said the under 40.5 for the Texans versus Ravens game. The over it was easy money apparently, but whatever. The Ravens suck.
So how many points do you have?
I got 3 points for a total of 26 total points, and I am in 3rd place right now.
Okay, so the standings are Willie, me, David, Derek.
I have no complaints with the commissioner this week. Now that is an upset. That's an upset.
Okay, we don't need to go over the standings.
Okay. Well,
I love hearing the standings right now.
So, Willie, you are in charge of the 2 common questions. Titans at Raiders. One of those questions has to be Titans related. What are we picking from this week?
All right. I've got I've got two on the Titans game that I think will be a big part of the story of how they do. Max Crosby, best pass rusher for the Raiders. He's a dynamic player. And J.C. Latham coming back for the Titans, and they're coming off one of their best pass protecting games in years. Now, that is pretty scary to say. So, over or under 1.5 sacks for Max Crosby. If he gets one, you might, if you told me right now he gets 1 sack, I might say, okay, I'll sign up for that. You got to keep him from having the big game and disrupting everything. So, over or under 1.5 sacks for Max Crosby for the Raiders.
I am going to take the under.
Really? You're an optimist.
I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
See, that half is scaring me because he can fall into it can be a guy wraps him up and he tackles him too, and now he's a part of the sack.
So I guess we need to declare it now because you can get a half a sack.
Yes, you can.
It could be a push. It could be a neutral. So if he gets 1.5, it's a push.
Okay, so
You'll still get the points.
Oh, so the commissioner is deemed he just gave everybody gets points.
No. If they get that 1.5, they still if you had the over, you still get the point.
What? That's exactly. That's exact. It's not over. That's exact.
All right. You know what? I'll figure it out whenever it happens.
It should be the same for everybody.
I'll decide when it happens.
I am taking the under.
Again, I was going to have a week. I spoke too soon. Now I got to be for the commissioner.
Derek is also taking the under.
He's taking the under. I'll take the over.
David,
I gotta take the over because I gotta beat Adam. I gotta get the over.
Okay. Second
question. Calvin Ridley has been like he was last year, feast or famine. Slow start, busted out with a big game last week. So his average, even though if you did the graph, it's way up or way down, is 54 yards per week. So we are going to go over or under his average for the year. Will he have over or under 54.5 yards receiving on Sunday? 54.5, over or under for Ridley?
I will take the over.
I'm going the over too. With confidence.
Believer in Ridley.
I don't believe in Ridley. I'm going under.
You're going under? I'm going over. I think he 54. Just one big play, and we know how Cam Ward likes to attack down the field. One big play could get you a lot. He doesn't have to catch a ton of balls there. So I will say over.
Okay. So now to the individual portion of the competition. Geno Smith leads the NFL with 9 interceptions. And I say the Titans get another one on Geno Smith. So mark me down for another Geno Smith interception against the Tennessee Titans. Let's see. I don't know who's going to do it. It could be anybody. But give me a Geno Smith interception because that's what he's been doing. And I'm going to stick with the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts. Let me find that game. The Indianapolis Colts are 6.5-point favorites at home against the Arizona Cardinals. After what I saw last week, that to me is the type of loss that sends a team straight down the toilet. So I think the Colts are going to cover easily at home. I say the Colts win by double digits at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Willie?
Okay. I am going to say in the winner-take-all game tonight, Mariners-Tigers, which is out in Seattle. Tigers have rallied to get back. It's been a good series. It's gone back and forth. They've got an absolutely nasty pitcher going tonight, and Tarek Skubal. I will say Skubal, double-digit strikeouts tonight. Take it to the bank against the Mariners.
Okay. One more?
One more. This is one I have been. Yeah, I'm not going to pick the winner. I'm gonna say that Skubal will do his job, and then it's a matter of whether they can score any runs. It may be tough to score, period, tonight. And then I will say that the Brewers will find a way to eliminate the Cubs in Game 5, which is tomorrow. winner take all. The Cubs lost the first 2 games in Milwaukee, won both at Wrigley. They're going back to Milwaukee for the last game. So 2 dramatic game 5s in Major League Baseball. So I will go with the Brew Crew. Shout out to all the former Sounds going up there. Go Brewers in game 5.
Derek, your 2 choices.
All right. The Titans found themselves in a position where they finally was able to get to the quarterback last week. That's a good thing because they hadn't gotten to the quarterback much. So you know what? I think it's going to be 2 weeks in a row. I think this team will have 2 or more sacks against the Las Vegas Raiders and Geno Smith.
He's going to be right back. The bar is low for that. That's not great.
They don't get Willie. They don't get sacks. What are you talking? Willie, how many sacks do they average? How many sacks do they average a game?
I don't know. 2? Do they average 2?
Give me a moment.
I don't know.
No, they don't average 2. They probably average a sack and a half a game.
Give me a moment as I keep muting myself.
I'll look it up because I've made my picks. Adam,
so,
I will find it.
Yes, I'm going with that. And then I'm going with the Tigers. I got to go with them. They will get a victory. Take it to the bank.
The Titans are averaging 1.4 sacks per game.
Okay, so it would be above average. Okay, so I'll give you that.
There we go.
We'll give you 2.
God, a whole 2 sacks.
That's how bad they are to the quarterback, Willie. When I think 2 sacks is a lot, you should know that they ain't been getting no sacks, Willie.
David, your 2 choices.
All right, so I'm going to do go LSU over South Carolina. I think LSU is going to have a bounce back, and they're going to look a little bit better than they have been. And then also, these are 2 teams I just do not like. I don't like the Brewers. I don't like the Cubs. But you know what? I love the Nashville Sounds. Give me the Brew Crew, baby.
Okay.
The Brewers.
There we go.
The winningest team in baseball during the regular season. They play the game the right way, but they are still considered underdogs, right? And they would have to play the Dodgers, who have got it all right there. The biggest payroll, all the defending champs, the superstars, all of that. That would be a really fun series to watch.
Well, we will see how it all unfolds over the weekend. We hope you had a wonderful week with us. We sure had a wonderful week with you. We will be back a little bit later on Monday. Predators play the Ottawa Senators at noon on Monday. So we are going to start our show after that. So I would say roughly 3:30 on Monday, but we will be back on Monday afternoon to react to the Titans game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Mason, don't get yourself into any trouble. We hope to see you back in Nashville, and all of you roughly 3:30 on Monday.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful weekend. I love you. We love you. You hear that music. You hear it. Don't forget about us, because you know what? We will be back Monday, a little bit later, just 30 minutes later, but a little bit later. Can't wait to see you. Peace.